Hey guys, it's Slave to the Games, and this is the 5th episode, or part, depending on how you want to call it, to Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, or follow, depending on the platform you are watching on, and I hope you enjoy this. Once again, don't forget to check out the Discord link below. If you want to join the community, chat with me on off hours or in between streams, and then check out, if you want to, completely optional, donate or become a Patreon member with the Patreon link below. Now, there's something I have to tell you. With the next Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, I have now finished scripting and going through all of the dev blogs that I wanted to go through and all the information I want to gather for the third part to the full in-depth explanation for it. I just now have to edit the audio, put in, well, a replay clip of, let's say, the 1.5 video we got for gameplay of it, to once again showcase that as well. Maybe I'll just, sorry about that, maybe I'll just throw together, trailers. I don't know. It's definitely going to be the video is going to be something we've seen before because it's very limited in what we actually have, and I don't feel like just throwing Bloodlines 1 gameplay over it. I like having Bloodlines 2 gameplay there because it's Bloodlines 2 we're talking about. Yes, it may be a little bit repetitive because we have no new gameplay and no new trailers or anything, but I know that what you guys are really there for is the information. So it will be out within the next couple days. I know it's been a little over 2 weeks, I think now, but like I said, I was just pumping them out left and right, researching left and right, and then also doing my main series for the stream left and right. Whew. Sorry. And it got a little bit much because I didn't really have any time to sleep because I was dedicating all my time to researching when I wasn't streaming or editing. And while I actually really enjoyed doing it and I really loved it and I love the feedback I've been getting, I needed to space it out a little bit, which hopefully didn't ruin my chances for views, subscribers, etc., because I want all of you to keep enjoying it and keep watching it, and I want more of you to keep enjoying it and watching it. So without further ado, we're going to finish off what I believe is the last part to Hope's storyline, the Malkavian Path, and see where that gets us. Let's start, guys. You and Hope set out to destroy Kara Montgomery's company from within. Hope's poorly scribbled message reaches you in your haven. Within an unmarked envelope, you find a barely legible address you're supposed to reach, and the hour you're expected to arrive there. This is it then, the night of the final showdown. You check the clock. There's way more than enough time to comfortably reach your destination, but you decide to take a drive earlier just in case. The ride is uneventful, but becomes more and more tense as it goes on. The gravity of the situation starts getting to you. You're about to set out on an operation against a key New York City figure, well connected with both human and vampire elites. Hey, what's up, Blue? How you doing? What if her security overwhelms you? How will the council react to your raid? You can only trust that Hope has thought it all through. Doesn't seem like the type who'd attempt a suicidal mission. Which is something you typically say about a person who regularly attempts to shoot herself in the head. When you arrive at your destination, you find yourself in front of a building with a double spiral logo on it. This must be Montgomery's headquarters then. You look around the street and notice an obnoxiously lavender Mazda car parked nearby. Even though you've never seen it before, you might have an idea who it belongs to. You park your own car at a distance from the double spiral building and approach the Mazda. I think you meant good. A familiar figure is behind the wheel, holding a smartphone in her hand. You knock on the window. She opens the window without turning her eyes from the device. Wow, you're early. Didn't think I'd find you right in front of the building. Don't care much for being inconspicuous. Why should I be inconspicuous? I'm not planning to come back alive. Wait, what? She lets a dead silence linger in the air for 10 seconds. Then she stops typing, diverts her eyes from the screen, gives you a melancholic stare, and winks. Psych! Better be fuck. God damn it. Come on, what's with that face? I suffer from too much FOMO to let myself die. I've got accounts to run, notifications to check. Plus, no way in hell I'd allow Montgomery the satisfaction of draw. We're going there to secure a flawless victory. No time to wait. Let's go. She gets out of the car and motions you to walk with her. Anywho, glad you managed to make sense of my ugly scribbles. I totally forgot how exhausting it is to write stuff by hand. Still, not as exhausting as having to deliver messages personally to someone's door. Next time you meet Langley, ask her to get you a flip phone or something, okay? You reach to the front of the building. We're about to burn this shithole down to the ground. Hope, I wouldn't mind if you let me in on your plan this time. Oh, Seth, baby. One would think that by now, you know I'm a need-to-know basis kind of gal. But, luckily, there's not much of a plan to talk about. You've done all the hard work during your meeting with Kara. You see, our job is easy. We need to get in, destroy the server containing all the double spiral research, and walk out. No spectacle, no dramatic showdowns. Now I know exactly what you're going to say. Oh wait, Hope! If this data is so priceless, shouldn't she have external backups? Is Kara a complete dunce? Excellent question, my neonate friend. The answer is yes, she's a dunce. But aside from her numerous negative qualities, she also has a positive one. She's totally paranoid. She used to be a naive dumbass who wouldn't even cover up her laptop camera, but she lost trust in all external companies after a little cyber espionage incident. She's obsessed with not uploading her precious data anywhere online. Now she only has one physical backup, hidden deeper inside the headquarters. Nobody has an idea of where it might be, but I do. Normally, I'd never be able to reach the place. Double Spiral is like an underground base. The walls and doors are reinforced both against the living and the dead. But the answer to this problem is simple. We only need Kara to lend us her voice so that we can override all the security measures and get to the heart of the facility. What do you say, Kara? Will you help your girl out for the old time's sake? Hope quickly writes something down on her phone. A few seconds later, a nearly perfect imitation of Kara Montgomery's voice escapes her speaker. You know it. Let's bust this bitch open. You can see the T's that aren't perfect. Wow. The sound quality is incredible and the voice sounds only the tiniest bit off. Whatever she paid for that tech, it was worth it. Oh, and if you're afraid of consequences from the Camarilla, don't be. I'm assuming full responsibility and my ass is covered. I've got some favors to collect and to offer. Besides, Kara's a goddamn snake and everybody knows it. No important player will miss her influence. They were only tolerating her in case she hit big with her tech. It's all about tech, cash, and abundance. Life's a bitch and then you die. Some parts sound a tiny bit too robotic. Could there be a pattern here? Too bad she won't ever get the chance to succeed. So without further ado, shall we? Aw man, you can see where we failed. Hope starts marching toward the revolving door. You close your eyes, make an effort to sharpen your senses, and follow the Malkavian into the lobby of the double spiral building. There's a sole security guard at the entrance. He raises his voice to ask about your business, but is stopped short by Hope's commanding voice. No need, we're expected. The man looks lost and disoriented for a moment. Then the gears in his head slowly begin to turn, and he nods his head silently open in a gate leading to the elevators. Hope heads into one of them and you follow. She presses a button and the car starts, heading to the lowest floor. Eventually the doors open. Welcome to Kara Montgomery's Deadly Dungeons, Seth. What appears before your eyes are the dimly lit corridors of an IT office, empty and silent. The air is stiff and dusty, and there's a sharp, rotten stench in the air that you're unable to identify. The menacing atmosphere makes it hard to recognize at first. This looks like an active workplace. It really is a dungeon, although a corporate one, where people are cheated of life. You feel a pang of anger. This is the real face of class warfare. These are the conditions people in power would offer us if they didn't feel a need to keep up appearances. Let's just get to the first door and test my little Kara out. You follow her until you reach the end of the corridor. There you encounter an expensive-looking reinforced door with voice controls on the side. Hope pushes a button. A robotic voice comes out of the speaker. See, there's another mess up right here. I got another one. This is another time they messed up. Semiotics. Seriously, come on. Hope types the word into her phone and lets virtual Kara repeat the password. Semiotics. A sound rings out, reminiscent of cues that TV quiz shows used to let the contestant know he gave a wrong answer. Verification error. Please try again. You give Hope a nervous look. She bites her lip and presses the button again. Hyperreal. Tap, 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 tap. Hyperreal. Access granted. The doors slowly open. You notice your companion is wearing a sour expression. Looks like the tech isn't quite perfect. At least the passwords seem randomized, so we can try and brute force our way in. Unless the system locks us out after a few failed attempts. She shakes her head and turns to you, her lips attempting to approximate a sincere smile. Well, we can only hope that the data you've collected is enough. Into the beast's maw we go. She marches into the room and you walk in right after her. Doors lock behind you with a loud thud. It's a wide open office. It would be as murky as the corridor you just left if it wasn't for rows of monitors illuminating the space. A shadowy figure stares at every screen in the room. Kara's voice plays from Hope's speaker. Behold! This is where the magic happens. A family of driven folks hungry for success, always taking bull by the horns, building a high-performance culture. Together! None of the figures raise their heads. They're too busy programming, organizing spreadsheets, and typing an endless string of text. Good evening! Are you guys deaf? Don't worry, they're like just a bunch of ghouls and whatnot. Hardworking, conditioned, tireless, low maintenance, kinda dumb. Perfect workers. Probably won't leave their seats unless we make them, but let's not. We've got more important things to do, like destroying a few years worth of their work. The figures don't stop pounding away on their keyboards. In fact, they don't react to her words at all. Alrighty, so do we go straight to the server room or do you want to check one of those side rooms first? Your call. I'd prefer to wrap things up here as fast as possible, but hey, little Kara is here with us thanks to the data you've gathered. You betcha. If you think you can use their voice for something useful, hey, feel free to do it. You look around and think how to respond. Actually, let's try this door. You approach a door with a huge sign saying staff only next to it. You spot familiar voice controls. Hope nods at you and pushes the button. Vaudeville. Hope taps the screen of her phone a few times and puts the speaker next to the door's microphone. Vaudeville. Verification error, access denied. You push the button again. Vaudeville. Looks like this one doesn't have a randomizer built in. Won't do us any good to just keep trying. The capital wins once again. Let's move on, comrade. For a second, you wonder if there's anything you could have done to succeed here. Then you shrug your shoulders and follow Hope out of the room. Another depressing corridor, reeking of who knows what. You expect Hope to walk to the very end again. But this time she stops halfway and starts mumbling under her breath. Wait, was it this door? Don't tell me she moved things around. It looks like she's been here before. Not a surprise in itself, but she gives off an impression of a person who used to know the entire layout of the building very well. After brief reflection, Hope approaches a door a few feet away and pushes the button next to it. Apocalypse. Well, that's cheery. Apocalypse. Access granted. You walk inside. At first glance, this office looks very similar to the last one you entered. Rows of screens and rows of listless silhouettes in front of them. However, Hope quickly spots a difference. Target confirmed. Moving to data room. There's a room with endless machines at the back of the open space. Hope walks in, takes out some hardware out of the bag she's carrying, and begins the process of removing the data. Should have invested in SSDs, sis. Time to bust out my portable degosser. He turns to you. This will take a good minute. I've got a few other tricks up my sleeve. If you find something that interests you, let me know. Did you wait near her or take a look around? I'll take a look around. Might find something interesting. Have fun. Dear God in heaven, I know I will. You start walking around. For a while, you notice nothing but errors that start popping up on the screens here and there. The ghouls try to fight against them, but quickly realize it's futile and surrender. Eventually, you find a door with a voice controls. Call out to Hope. She pauses her work for a second and approaches you. This door, huh? Alright, let's give it a shot. Press the button. Canoe and kayak. You watch over Kara's shoulder as she types the password with an incredible speed into a homemade-looking app, and Kara's voice sounds out. Canoe and kayak! Yahoo! We opened it! Access granted! Alright, you know where to find me. She gets back to her data as you start exploring the room. Well, not that there's much to explore. It's more like a closet. Inside, you find all sorts of bizarre items scattered around the shelves. Some old newspapers, a Windows 95 for dummies, a 4GB MP3 player, a hookah, biography of Amy Winehouse. Finally, you find a little box marked with a smiley face. When you open it, you're surprised to see something you recognize. A bunch of post-it notes with hand drawings depicting tattoo patterns that can be seen on Hope's body. You leave the closet and go back to the data room. There, you wordlessly pass the box to Hope. At first, she seems annoyed to be dragged away from work. When she notices the post-it notes, her eyes become dinner plates. You found those in that closet? You nod and look at her expectantly. She takes a deep sigh, closes the box, and puts it in her bag. Kara and I have a history. Needed that. A pregnant pause. Don't expect me to lay it all out here. It's not something I want to revisit anytime soon. But I'm very, very grateful you gave this box to me. You don't even know how much this means. She tries to find the right words to express something, but after some brief consideration, just hand waves it away. Alright, we'll bond, reminisce, and get high another time. Now we got a job to finish. She gets back to her hardware. You think she's completely absorbed in her work again, but then quickly notices she's doing her best to have her back facing you at all times. A while passes. Finally, you hear a triumphant yell. All done, baby! Looks like those boys are finally going to get a break. You realize that the constant silent rhythm of mechanical keyboards has stopped. The workers are all idling, slumped over their desks, completely resigned to the fact that their raison d'etre has disappeared. Hope hurriedly collects her hardware and motions you to follow after her. Alright, we're almost done. Now we just need to take care of the backups and we can get the hell away from here. You take a last glance at the ghouls and follow her steps. Yet another corridor, hardly discernible from the previous ones. This is a giant underground complex. How much money has Montgomery spent on it? Hope looks around, frowning, mumbling something indecipherable. Eventually, she points in front of her. There! There's where she must keep the backups. It's a sturdy metal door unlike any other in this building. Right next to it, however, is a voice-based security system you know pretty well by now. Please, 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 just no last-second surprises. She hesitates to do it, but eventually she pushes the button. Eternal return. Hope dutifully types down the term on her phone. Eternal return. Access denied, please try again. Damn it. Hope hisses under her breath. This time you push the button. Double spiral. Tap, tap, tap. Double spiral. You feel like time is frozen. For whatever reason, it takes longer than usual for the speaker to deliver the verdict. Access granted. I feel like we were just let in. I feel like this is a trap. But a relief. The metal doors grind loudly as they invite you in. This time, you walk in first and Hope follows. Wait a minute. You recognize this place. You shouldn't be here, but there's no two ways about it. This is Hope's Haven. Same bed, same decorations, same ambience. It's all a lot more dusty, but the backups are in the back. I'll just get them. She seems a little sheepish as she approaches the double spiral devices and unpacks her own hardware to take care of them. You take in your surroundings. Would you mind explaining what is going on here? Hope sighs. What's there to explain? Just think a little. The first explanation that pops into your head will probably be the right conclusion. She looks at you as if she was about to add something, then bites her tongue and gets back to destroying her rival's life. She makes it obvious she doesn't want to re-examine her past. You rest against the bed, quietly watching Hope's technological wizardry and wondering about her past relationship with Kara for who knows how long. Every second you spend here, you become more impatient to get out. Eventually, the devices surrounding the double spiral backups start disappearing into the bag they were taken out of. Looks like the process is nearing completion. You decide to approach the door before it does. However, before you even make a move, the doors begin to make a grinding noise. You freeze up, watching them open. Behind them stands the very person you were afraid would appear. That's the punk t-shirt you hoped you would avoid seeing tonight. Jesus fucking Christ almighty! Hope raises her head, and their eyes meet. Both of their faces momentarily turn to stone. Oh! You could pick out any emotion from their stares, and you'd probably be right. An unbearable tension fills the room as nobody wants to make the first move. Eventually, it's Hope who decides to break the stalemate by loudly pressing the enter button on her laptop and immediately dropping it into her bag. You doubt it's anything more than a provocation, the Malkavian letting her opponent know she won. But it works. The noise makes Montgomery snap out of her stupor. You psycho! You fucking demented, vindictive psycho! The air turns thick with murderous intent. Hi! Hope pretends she hasn't noticed. Kara's bloodthirst becomes palpable. You were supposed to be on the other side of the city right now, at the meeting. I am notified about every failed voice authentication attempt. I got back here expecting to find some idiots still trying to make their way through the front. She looks around. But I never expected... Just how? Hope reluctantly types something down on her phone. I'm the CEO of Double Spiral, and I endorse wrecking my shit. Kara grimaces at the sound of her own voice and quickly connects the dots. You fucking gremlin. How did you get your hands on that kind of tech? Even I... Company's secret. Hope's provoking her. No two ways about it. Kara knows it, so she's trying to keep her cool. I built this paradise for you. For us. For yourself and nobody else. What happened to the Hope I used to know? She can't come to the phone right now. She's dead. I regret the day I let you into my life. Stop lying to yourself, Kara. You only regret the day you let me out of my life. Shouldn't have let your mask slip, honey. Snappish response almost escapes Kara's mouth, but she manages to stop herself before letting the discussion devolve into a childish spat. Just tell me there's a copy of my data you haven't ruined and I'll let you go out of here. Alive. She gives you a hateful look. Both of you. Hope tilts her head and flashes an evil ear-to-ear grin. Not a single bit of data remains. More than a decade of your work down the drain. Welcome to the worst night of your life since the .com crash, Miss Montgomery. Kara looks as if a stake was just driven through her heart. She starts to collapse, sliding down against the door, like she was sinking deeper and deeper into her personal hell. Hope just stares at her torment, wearing an indecipherable expression, waiting for a rival to reach the floor. Then, she does, and there at the lowest point of her life, she finds something unexpected. I never, ever wanted to do this. This is not me. Her voice sounds completely different. But if there's only one way out of this mess, I'm going to take it. I'm going to get my data back. Hope looks confused for a second. Then an understanding dawns on her. Come on, Kara. You wouldn't dare. You started this game, now accept your loss. The game isn't over until all players are out of the moves, honey. Bearing your fangs now. There are two of us against one, even if you commit the sin of diablerie. Oh, damn! That's not where I thought this was going. The last time something like this happened to me, I was ready to die. Think I'll take my chances. It's not like I haven't dreamed about feeling my fangs inside you for a long, long time. So you want to give me this one victory? Prove once and for all that I was right. It was never about me, but about all the stupid garbage in my head? A victory? Please. Victories are material. They aren't like your little online arguments. She's serious about this, Seth. She wants to devour me as a whole. Sacrifice her humanity in exchange for access to my soul and everything I know. Stay away, Seth. You want money, data, domain privileges, a position at Double Spiral? Anything you want, you can get if you just look the other way. Don't listen to this shit. The moment the prince finds out, it's final death for her. And Kara runs, her moves resembling a beast more than human, immediately closing the distance to Hope. Then she jumps at the Malkavian like a wild animal hunting her prey. Hope instinctively attempts to defend herself, but is immediately overwhelmed. Laying on the ground, she looks like a deer in the headlights. Kara, on the other hand, looks like a bear ready to maul its victim. If you want to react, you need to do it now. You push yourself to the limit and let your powers take over. The world slows down, letting you run up to Kara and Hope in the blink of an eye. You immediately grab Montgomery by her clothes and attempt to yank her aside. However, the moment she recognizes your touch, she immediately attempts to swat you down. Despite your superhuman speed, she's still almost as quick as you. So that means I'm faster. Hey, thanks for the host, I very much appreciate it. Oh, shit, here we go. Her limbs keep zooming wildly towards your vital areas. You dodge every one of them, but each time feels like narrowly jumping out of the way of an oncoming truck. You back away. Better try something different before she gets lucky and hits you. Okay, no problem, Lou. You have a nice day. You've decided to let your instincts take over. Before you know it, you're already at a full sprint. You run up to Kara, grab her, and start pulling her away from Hope. However, you're dealing with a beast here. Choosing to trust your instincts, you underestimated hers. Damn it! Before you realize what's happened, you find yourself smashed against the nearest wall. Confused and in pain, you check your torso. Some bones feel broken. You still got lucky and you should be able to move around. This will take some time to heal. Kara's already focused on attacking Hope again. Just rushing in blindly won't help. You need a plan. Wait. There's no point to just rushing in blindly. Kara's like a feral animal right now. You don't wrestle with those. You use tools to overwhelm them. You look at Hope's bag, but any of her devices help. No way in hell. Think harder. You look at the bed, the pillows, the canopy, hooks hanging down from the ceiling. Bingo. You grab one of the hooks and yank the chain. It's long enough for your idea to work. You run up to Kara, who's about to maul Hope like a wild animal. Then, you stab her with all your strength. The hook gets deep underneath her skin. Kara yells, but there's more surprise than pain in her voice. You quickly wrap the chain around her a few times, then you step back and start pulling it with all your strength. Kara's taken by surprise. Still, not understanding what's going on, she loses her balance and gives her victim a chance to escape. Hope takes it. Still dazed, she takes a second to understand the situation. But when she does, she runs up to you and starts pulling the chain with you. She screams. You never handle her alone, but Hope displays surprising strength while pulling the chain. A minute later, she's hanging above the floor like a butcher's carcass. The end of the hook is stuck in her chest, and it's sinking deeper as she struggles. However, she's flailing so wildly she might free herself before it puts her out of her commission. You use one hand to desperately search for something that can help. You under the bed, belts, handcuffs, a whip, a giant cattle prod. You have no time to act bemused. You put it to her head and turn it on. The device must be modified. The power current is so powerful, it causes scarring almost immediately. She's getting weaker and weaker. It takes Kara a while to accept defeat, but eventually she does. Body seemingly lifeless, her head hanging down, she looks like a grotesque portrait of defeat. The hook must have reached her heart. It takes Hope a long time to collect herself. Eventually, she manages to speak up. Guess we've gotten up to this point, huh? Just like Kara before, Hope starts to talk in a completely different way than she usually does. You have a bad feeling about this. You want to add my data to yours? You know I can grant your wish, except not the way you've imagined it. Hope starts mumbling and circling around Kara. For the first time since you've met her, she acts like she doesn't have her phone in her hand. This violent aura. The Malkavian looks deeply into your eyes, and she knows you know what she's tempted to do. You silently beg for her not to do it. It doesn't feel right. She makes her decision. She smiles beautifully, and it feels purposely fake. Be my witness. I haven't harmed her. You left her here with me, and you have no idea what happened next. Her voice is still changed from what you're used to. She's not having fun. She's driven by malice. I've disabled security, so you're free to leave now. Call me whenever you need me. I'm a part of your coterie now, so I'll pay my debts or whatever. You give her a suspicious glare. Doesn't faze her, though. I've still got some unfinished business here. She turns to Kara's listless body. A puppet is dangling sadly by a single thread. It would be smart of you to leave. Her tone makes it clear she's not willing to discuss anything. Your relationship is strictly professional. You sigh, shrug your shoulders, and head out the way you came from. The lights of New York welcome you above ground. See you soon, Hope. Hope you didn't get into trouble. You try to celebrate the new addition to your coterie. Bakar's face appears before your eyes over and over again, making your victory bittersweet. Well, damn! Ow, that is loud as hell. Okay, upon returning to your haven, you find a small scrap of paper lying on your window sill. Need a favor if you're still up for it. Come meet me in Prospect, Tam. Once again, you cross the gate of Prospect Park and head straight for where you last saw the feral duo. Minutes pass, finding no sign of Tamika. You begin to worry that something might have happened to her. Suddenly, you hear rustling coming from the nearby bushes, and it's not the stray cat kind of rustling either. Whoever's hiding in those bushes better be ready to get their ass whooped. The rustling stops, if only for a second. Suddenly the bushes part and Rawl walks out, desperately trying to look confident. Who said I was hiding? Listen, I wanted to have a word before Tam gets here. She seems to like you for whatever strange reason, but the way I see it, you're a nuisance at best. At worst, you're a threat. I get it. You don't like me. Forgive me if I don't lose any sleep over it. You should be, because when I don't like someone, I do something about it, and it's usually not pleasant. Tamika is my sister, in every sense of the word that counts. Anything happens to her that I find even remotely your fault, I'm coming after you. Is that clear? Crystal, now get the fuck out of my face. Yeah. Just want to make sure we understand each other. What I'm saying is, if anything happens to Tamika, I'm holding you accountable. All of a sudden, the sound of footsteps reach your ears. It's just faint enough to not be ostentatious, but still loud enough to hear. You can tell whoever's approaching wants to make their presence known. Both you and Raul turn just in time to see Tamika emerge from behind an old sycamore tree. It's hard to tell just how long she's been listening in on your conversation. In any case, she walks up and speaks, addressing no one in particular. Did I miss anything? Your brother's worried about you. Seems to think I'm a bad influence. Aw. In an instant, her voice goes from mockingly sweet to stern and unyielding. Her next words sound like a challenge. Is that true, Raul? You think I can't take care of myself? God damn it, Tam. That's not what this is about, and you know it. I know, big brother. You meant well. You always mean well. Ah, screw it. Why do I even bother? With that, Raul takes his leave. Tamika waits in silence, just long enough to make sure you can no longer hear her, and addresses you. I have a favor to ask. Sure, but just so that we're clear, when I do favors, I expect to be paid in kind. Her face remains motionless, if not for the slightest twitch of her eye. It's almost unnoticeable, but it tells you all you need to know. You've just made a fool of yourself. Right. I have an errand to run. I was hoping you'd come with me. I wouldn't say I made a fool of myself. I know this vampire life I was told. Nothing's for free. There's a place east of here. It's a short walk. Should be back in about 2, maybe 3 hours. Wait, we're walking, as in on foot, in New York City. I don't like cars, alright? They remind me of old times before I became this. It can be distracting. So can we go? Sure, we can go now if you're ready. Alright. And so you head toward the parking lot, accompanied by Tamika and a lot of unanswered questions. Following Tamika's directions, you finally arrive at the Evergreen Cemetery, one of the oldest burying grounds in Brooklyn. You enter through the southwestern gate and follow your companion through the sea of tombstones. It's a nice enough place as far as graveyards go, much less homogenized than the usual flat field littered with identical markers. Tamika confidently presses on, swerving and weaving along a pre-programmed path. It's clear that she's been here more than a few times. Finally, she makes a sharp left and takes a few more steps down a gravel walkway, coming to a sudden stop in front of a modest headstone. The inscription reads, Lucas Santiago, beloved sister and daughter, born 1991, taken from us too soon. With her eyes fixed on the grave site, she lets out an absent-minded utterance. I need a moment alone. Not long, 5 minutes at the most. You look around in search of a good spot to wait for her and pass the time. At the far end of a nearby lawn, you notice a lone bench situated under a weeping willow. Suddenly you hear voices, distant but slowly approaching. Judging by the tone and timbre, you're guessing it's a couple of teenagers out to get their late-night kicks among the dearly departed. Might be a good chance to feed. And again, you could just pass the time walking around the area. It's actually quite nice in a dark and somber kind of way. Take your time. Think I'll go grab myself a drink. Just do it quietly. I don't want any trouble. Not here. You leave Tamika alone and follow the voices. Soon enough, you come up on a couple in their late teens. Judging by the thick eyeliner and their clothes consisting mostly of black leather and lace, you'd venture a guess that they love nothing more than to meet an actual vampire. You're happy to oblige. As you emerge from the shadows, you can feel your all intensify. The boy and the girl watch you, completely awestruck, waiting for you to approach. The slightest gesture is enough to shoo the boy away. He sits on a nearby bench and watches, completely enamored as your lips press against the girl's neck. It's a weird sensation to feel actual, honest-to-God pride in a victim's blood. But here you are. She's glad to have been chosen in this way. You decide there's no good reason to discriminate, and also take a sip from the guy. His BO is pretty terrible, but the taste of his blood isn't half bad. Hoping the teens' post-kiss days will make your face just an impression in their memory, you leave them on bench, and just as they let their excitement hormones run wild and start making out furiously, you half expect Cater to materialize sword in hand to deal with these loose ends, or with you for leaving them to roam like you did. You'll need to be more careful in the future. Finally, you get back to the tree and find Tamika sitting on the bench. Without a word, you sit next to her. You look over to her, doing your best not to stare. She looks down, crossing her arms and putting her hands on her shoulders. In an instant, the ferocious savage disappears, replaced by a vulnerable young woman. I think I'm done. You feel like sharing? No, but I guess I owe you an explanation. She looks away. You can tell she's struggling to open up to you, so you remain silent, trying not to make her uncomfortable. I was embraced not far from here, in the cemetery, a fitting spot, I suppose. It was close to a decade ago. Been on the road for a couple years at that point, hitchhiking from one town to another. New York was supposed to be just another stop. And then I met Jezebel. She was strong, smart, independent. Seemed like someone I could trust. Someone I could get close to. She never made me feel inadequate or ashamed. And she could hold her own in a fistfight, too. Funny thing, though, she only wanted to meet during nighttime. I didn't think much of it, even came up with excuses for busy, eccentric, whatever worked. Until one night, she sank her teeth into my neck. Hey, at least you got to know your sire. I can say the same for myself. For a brief moment, she looks at you with genuine sympathy. I'm sorry. She then looks away, as if slightly embarrassed by her own reaction. Anyway, she left soon after turning me. I think the conclave of Prague really shook her up. Seems like you're trying to justify her actions. I'm trying to understand. After the Anarchs were expelled from the Camarilla, I guess she felt betrayed. I know I would. She had fought and killed for the Camarilla, only to have them stab her in the back. But yeah, even though I still had Raul and Luca, I was still furious and terrified. Luca died a few years later. Operation Lights Out, they called it. It was a coordinated assault by the Second Inquisition, a genocide by any other name. Her family got together, bought up the plot, and buried an empty casket. Guess they wanted some closure. Can't fault them for that. Even though she's not really here, I like to come and visit from time to time. Reminds me of who I am, keeps me in check, keeps the beast at bay. Also, this being the place of my embrace, you have to appreciate that level of irony. She straightens up and looks at you as if something just occurred to her. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. One minute I'm all grunts and stares, and the next I'm giving you my biography. I guess I'm just tired of being scared, alone. You don't have to be alone. I used to think so, but those were simpler times. At this point, I'm just looking for something to believe in. Someone I could give a damn about. You got me, for whatever it's worth. She looks at you. Her mouth drops open, ever so slightly. You can tell she wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I do, don't I? You open your mouth, but before you can make a sound, Tamika motions at you to keep quiet. She lifts her head and sniffs at the air. Her ears perk up and her eyes widen. Suddenly, she pushes you with all her strength, sending you flying off the bench. Before you even hit the ground, an immense shape flies into view and smashes down into the bench, splintering it into pieces. With the blood surging through your veins, you pounce onto your feet. You look at the mass of fur and muscles that just nearly pulverized you. The creature rears its head to give you a deranged stare. Is this a fucking werewolf? Am I being attacked by a werewolf right now? Then turns to Tamika. She seems utterly terrified, frozen in place, as if she literally just saw a ghost. You notice the creature shift its weight as if it's preparing to pounce. feeling as if your muscles have turned to steel. Ram the creature before it can throw itself at Tamika. The beast flies through the air and smashes its back against a tree. In a matter of seconds, however, it gets back to its feet. Your attack might have surprised it, but it clearly didn't do any real damage. The creature then turns towards you. For a second or two, it moves its mouth awkwardly, as if trying to remember how to form words. Stay out my ground. The creature runs off toward a nearby clearing, when all of a sudden, a gunshot sends it tumbling onto the ground. A group of well-armed men in body armor emerge from the shadows in an orderly formation and move in closer around the creature. Not sure what to make of what's happening, you figure it's best to get out of sight. As you start backing away into the nearby bushes, you notice Tamika following your lead. From the relative safety of the thick foliage, you watch in silence as the group of armed men subdue the creature using steel nets and cattle prods. In the corner of your eye, you catch Tamika looking away, as if she finds this whole spectacle somehow distasteful. She speaks under her breath, her voice shaking. Can we get out of here? You see no reason to object. The walk back turns out to be quiet and somber experience. You both walk in silence, the city a blur of lights and cars careening by. You look over to Tamika. She seems lost in her thoughts. Finally, you decide to break the silence. You gonna be alright? That thing back there really spooked you. I don't know. She catches herself and quickly attempts to hide her vulnerability. Yeah, I think so. It's just that I've always heard stories about the scarred one. I never thought I'd actually run into him. The scarred one? That's the only name he's known by. It's a cautionary tale for young Gangrel. This is what happens when you let the beast take over. I always figured him to be more of a metaphor, seeing him in real life. Like if a Christian just happened to run into Judas Iscariot one day. And seeing him hunted down by the SI, I don't know what to think. I don't even know where to start thinking. Deciding to give her some space, you spend the rest of the walk in silence. Soon enough, the familiar tree line of Prospect Park comes into view. Stop by the entrance, nearest to Tamika's haven. She keeps walking without so much as a word or glance in your direction. She stops after several paces and turns back towards you. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming with me, but now I have a lot of shit to figure out. Once I do, I'll let you know. And with that, she disappears amongst the trees. Seeing no point in sticking around, you take your leave. Well, damn! I thought it was a werewolf at first, but I guess not. I seriously 100% thought that it was gonna be a werewolf then. Recent string of violent killings is the Red Hook district on Brooklyn on edge, so if you mentioned that Kader al-Assami has a secret associate investigating the murders, he was brought to a neonate by the name of D'Angelo. If you help him out, he might be persuaded to form a lasting partnership. Oh yeah, somebody's watching me. Let's click that. We'll do that. Someone is following you around. Has been for a few nights. Maybe longer. That can't be a good thing. The only question is, what to do about it. You venture out to the street with the goal of letting your stalker know you're aware of being followed. It's time to stop this ridiculous charade. It's raining outside, and as you step onto the street in front of your haven, you wonder whether that'll help you. Will you be able to see the footprints of your stalker in puddles on this ground? Not sure where to start. You slip a few bills to a homeless man and chat up the guy who runs the local bodega. Both of them talk your ears off about strange characters hanging around, but none of their stories seem right to you. Walking the streets, you're convinced by turns that everyone you see is an enemy agent out to get you, that your stalkers decided to take the night off. Frustrated after a couple of hours of useless searching, you cross the road without looking where you're going. A courier on a motorbike zooms towards you and has no time to brake or swerve as you suddenly step in front of him. For a split second, your eyes meet those of a man on the bike, and you both know you'll collide. You'll get hurt. Something hits you, pushing you forward. You tumble, flying to the side of the sidewalk as the courier zooms past. You feel a weight on your back, catch a glimpse of something, a person, female you think, and then she disappears. You could spend a couple more hours trying to find the woman who's been stalking you, but in your shriveled, undead heart, you know it to be futile. She's gone. Okay, guess we're resting. I bet it's gonna be our ex-girlfriend. Kader al-Asami, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door to your haven. The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect him to already be inside or never see him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Evening. May I come in? You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as permission. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door. Haven't really had time to make this place your own yet, have you? Feels like Langley's apartment through and through. Secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on this shelf. Obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of a spirit. Next to all this garbage poetry, we can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. The kind of place that self-professed hermits entomb themselves in to suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you're probably only used to shelter from the sun and rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colors. You sense a familiar fight-or-flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Kader is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Watch any baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. Your mind keeps going back to that night when everything was changed forever. Waking up in hell with a body next to you, spending a night in that underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next. That endless car ride, 3 strikes, a bloodthirsty crowd, that blade. A rebirth, a baptism by fire, a frightening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries, There's no animosity in his voice. He's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point, then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you, and demanding the entirety of your attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. The Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhered to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see. But that obviously remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desires that make them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I use to operate. And so, I'm doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, maybe for a good reason, but immediately called for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone, but constantly lied to about everyone's past and motivations, even if my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice. Voice belonging to someone who once had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? So you see, for this detective, the why do on it is far more important than who done it or how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course, the kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder. Just like conspiracies between unrelatable actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall. A boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coterie so fast? You are surrounded by unclear motivations, which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. Oh? And what are your motivations? Finally, you manage to raise your voice. Cater notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. The last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of the New York City community, and as long as you're a part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you. And I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who's he talking about? Is this about Sophie? Kidder shakes his head. Sophie's fine. She's plotting something big. I know it, and she knows I know it. But she's treading carefully, as she should. No, they're not a major player. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. Oh, it's Jessica! Our ex! I thought it, you know, honestly, this was a twist for me because I didn't think it was gonna be Jessica. I thought the stalker was gonna be Jessica, which it still could be. And then I thought that the person that was gonna reveal was going to be, Hope. I was not expecting it to be Jessica. Jessica Lowell. The woman who made the last few years of your life heaven and the last few weeks a living hell. Since she took pretty much everyone you knew with her after the split, you thought the transition to this life would be painless. No baggage at all. Have you thought wrong? You look up at Cater, expecting answers. There are some unfortunate rumors that you committed suicide after a messy breakup. So apparently, Miss Jessica here is desperately mobilizing everyone she knows to look for you. Turns out she's contacted a lot of people who might recognize you, including some in law enforcement agencies. The risk of endangering us is relatively low, but far from non-existent. Which means she must be stopped. Must be stopped. Sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow so that you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. You'll arrange? What? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. The lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears, never to be seen again. Nobody cares. It's simple, it's clean, no contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind they used to hold dear, their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see. Of course, he's invested in being kind to you, or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so that you don't start figuring them out yourself. Any objections? Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a loaded bowl that's easy to swallow. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the door on you. God damn it. You need to think it through. For a long time, you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, remembering how you once thought your world had ended with her leaving. Whining, sure, but seems like it was prescient whining. Well, look at that. And I think this is a great place to leave it on a cliffhanger and to leave this episode. So, boom, look at, I fixed it, guys. The intermission screen isn't broken anymore. Anyways, thank you guys for stopping by. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, or follow, depending on the platform you are watching this on. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoyed the cliffhanger. And if you didn't, then I'm glad, because I was trying to make it a cliffhanger there instead of continuing. Look forward to the next part, guys, because I don't know what I'm gonna do. It really depends on the options. I think it'd be cool either way. Like, if I could make her a ghoul, that'd be cool. But I might just kill her to protect myself. We'll see where it goes. On the other hand, take some guesses, unless you know for a fact. If you do know, no spoilers, but if you don't know, take some guesses. Who do you think the stalker might be? And if you want to join the Discord to talk to me off hours, out of stream, and anytime I can actually reach you, or just talk to anybody else in the community, Discord links below. And if you want to go the extra mile to join the Patreon and become a member or donate, you can find the Patreon link below as well. Look forward to the next part of the Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2 full in-depth series explanation. And that was supposed to be explanation series. Yeah, I messed that up, but look forward to it. I do have the audio done, like I said at the beginning, and it will be released within the next couple days. Thank you guys for stopping by. See you either later today in my later stream or tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like every single other day. I'll catch you guys later.